Going on, folks? I'm Femi the Agent,
I'm Femi The Realtor.
and here we are on another episode of Sneakers and Real Estate. Two of the favorite things that I love to talk about. We're gonna jump into this real quick because we got a special guest here. I don't want to keep him waiting. Um, Today we're talking about the Jordan 8s Black Samurai. So, story behind these shoes. These are made with Ryu Hachimura, who's a forward with the Washington Wizards. He's a Jordan brand athlete. Everything about this shoe is really dope. They really have a family theme behind this. Ryu, who is black and Japanese, the logo is actually made by his mom, which is really dope. Um, the colorway on these is sesame and tan. So when you look at the toe box, these are actually suede in the front. So this is really really dope. I mean, anybody that loves the Jordan 8s, you really need these in your arsenal. Everything about these, I'm a Jordan 8 fan. I have these. I have the Jordan. I have the Champagnes. I have the Dornbechers. So definitely, I love everything about this sneaker. Even the box. The box to me is one of I would say maybe the box of the year. If you look at the front of it, they have him on the front, and even the paper on the inside. They actually have a poster in here, which to all my old sneakerheads, it takes us back to the days of where we used to get the sneakers, and they actually came with a poster. So it's really really dope. You can hang this on your wall. But everything about this sneaker, like I said, is really really dope. They come with two pairs of laces. You have the tan ones, and then you also have the black ones on the inside. Me personally, I like the tan laces better than the black ones. So it really depends on, it's a matter of preference, whatever you're looking to do. And also on the bottom, you have the Jumpman logo. You have the tan and the red. So I know some people put red laces in these. So if you're looking to do that, it also matches with the logo. You can go that route. But for me, I would leave it, pretty basic because I like the tan. But like I said, everything about this sneaker, if you're a Jordan 8 fan, you definitely need these in your arsenal. I try to get them on the sneaker app. Of course, I caught an L. It happens to the best of us. But you definitely need these in your arsenal. I'm gonna stop talking about these. You definitely need to jump on, one of these apps. Go to Goat, and try to grab yourself a pair. So right now we're gonna jump into talking about the mortgages. My son has some information on that.
Yeah, so right now with the market, it's slowing down a little bit. It's a slower pace right now. For rates, 30 year, they're in the mid fives right now. So it's always still a good time to buy. Especially right now, the competition isn't as high. Offers, there aren't as many offers being put in on certain properties, so I guess right now you kind of have time to shop around. You don't have to feel like you're peer pressured or being rushed into doing anything. So you could take some time now and analyze a little bit, but you don't want to drag your feet on anything because you know somebody else will come in and they'll be more serious than you, and they'll come take the house from you. So you still want to put your best foot forward, but you still have a little more time to do your analytics and do your research and things of that nature. So yeah, it's always a great time to buy.
Definitely, just like my son said, now still is a good time to buy. Interest rates being in the mid fives, still is a good time. Anybody that's followed me knows that when I bought my first house, interest rates were 6%, and due to the fact that I didn't fit the mold of a typical buyer, I was given 8.75. I did what I had to do, kept that rate for 6 months, and then I refinanced until 5.75. So, folks, right now, still a great time to buy.
And summer is slowing down, so everybody's going back to school. People aren't as focused on house shopping and stuff like that. The holidays are coming up. People don't really want to move around and things of that nature. They want to stay close with their families. So you still got time to shop around and look around. Because everybody isn't outside. It isn't as in demand as the summer market or the spring market. Things of that nature. So yeah.
Yeah, you definitely still have some time right now to do it. The bidding wars are not as high as they were 3 or 4 months ago, so you do now still have a great time to be able to snatch something up. Give either myself or my son a call. We can definitely still find you something and still get you settled in before the year's up. So because we do work pretty quickly. But enough about the two of us. We have a special guest here today. Anytime when you think that you're doing a lot, me being Nigerian, I wear a few hats, but meeting this gentleman, who I consider a friend, he does everything. He's an author, he's a realtor, he's a dad of three. This guy does everything. I don't know when he even sleeps. So today we have a special guest. We have Jermain Miller on the podcast today.
Pleasure to be here, gentlemen. Pleasure to be in the building today.
We appreciate you. Definitely, I know you're a busy man, so I had to try to stay on you so
Yeah.
that we could get you here. But we definitely appreciate your time. So for those who are living under a rock and have no idea who you are, if you want to just fill them in on who Jermain Miller is.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. Jermain Miller here. I am a 5-time best-selling author. I did open up a real estate company in 2015 in Long Island City, so we're still active in Long Island City.
Long Island City, okay.
We do, mostly LIC, Astoria, Williamsburg, all those areas in the city too as well.
Nice.
And obviously what I'm known for is what everyone knows me for, and that's motivational speaking.
Yes, sir.
We have a consulting firm where we coach, motivate, and train Fortune 500 companies and individuals, personal development, self-help, et cetera, et cetera. And that's what most, all of my books are pretty much geared toward: motivation and self-help.
Yeah, which is great. I've seen you speak a couple of times, and I say to people all the time, anybody who hasn't gone to church, you definitely, anytime when you hear this man speak, you will catch a Holy Ghost, so to speak, because his words are very insightful and very, very powerful. So you said that with the real estate you got started in 2015.
Yeah. So how it basically started is in 2004, early 2005, I was going through a divorce.
Okay.
And I woke up one morning, I was sleeping on the floor, staring at the ceiling. I had 93 cents in my bank account, a couple quarters in my pocket.
Wow.
I'm 25 years old. I got every reason to do well, but I had experienced some hardships up to that point. I lost my grandmother through cancer, my grandfather through cancer. I was going through that divorce. I spent some time in prison, and I felt like at 25 years old, I had promised my grandmother I'd be much further in life than I was.
Yeah,
but unfortunately, I'm staring at the ceiling, trying to figure out how all this happened.
Right.
George Bernard Shaw once said, people always blaming the circumstances for what they are. He said, I don't believe in circumstances. The people that get on in this world are the people who get up, they look for the circumstances they want, and if they can't find them, they make them.
Solution. Okay.
The problem is we want certain circumstances in our lives, but we're afraid to make the circumstances that we want.
Right.
And so I'm here looking at the ceiling, every reason to do well. And that day was the first day that I had to make a decision on what it was that I wanted, not on what it was that I didn't want. In fact, I was just talking to somebody a few moments ago, and he's telling me all these things he didn't want in his life. He didn't want grief. He didn't want hardship. He didn't want poverty. And I said, I have to stop you for a second, because you're telling me all the things you don't want, but you're not really defining what it is that you do want. In my book, Wake Up and When, I talked about that. We get in life what we don't want because we never decide what it is that we do want, right? So we're always talking about what we don't want. When it appears, we spend all our time trying to get rid of what it is that we don't want.
And that's kind of distracting. Sorry to cut you off. That's sort of distracting you, I guess, from going towards the things that you do want.
Exactly. And we put all our energy, our time, and effort trying to get rid of the things that we don't want.
Right.
Instead of putting all our time, effort, and energy towards the things that we do.
Right.
And so at 25 years old, I had to make a decision. Do I want to be here in 5 years going through all of this drama and nonsense, or do I want to make a radical change in my life? And I made the decision that point that I wanted to make a radical change in my life. So actually, I was 25 years old. I borrowed $250 from a friend of mine at the time. That was how much it cost to go through real estate school. It was $250. I passed the course. I got my license, and I remember I started with a company. I won't say the name, but they're pretty big now. And I remember walking into the office, and I showed the CEO at the time, it was Norfolk Bank, my bank account, because he didn't believe I was telling him I couldn't be here in these training programs. I needed to make some money.
Right.
And I said, I appreciate the juice, I appreciate the bagels, but I need to earn some income.
Right.
And knowing that I was in a commission-based field, I wasn't afraid, right? So I'm walking in the office. I'm the first one to leave every day. The first one to leave, first one in, because not because I was just hungry financially. I just didn't really have any other place to go. So I was sleeping in the office. But I built a successful real estate practice over 10 years in the industry, sold over 100 million in real estate.
Wow.
And what I found out at that time is I loved helping people, but I didn't just love helping people with real estate. I loved helping people with their lives.
Right.
And I'm telling everyone to live their dream, but I wasn't really living mine.
Yours.
And in order for you to impact and empower people to live their dreams, you have to live yours.
Right.
And so I started my own firm in 2015. And what I realized there was I was already working with other realtors and other professionals in a more positive mindset.
Right.
And then from 2017, 2018, that's when I launched the consulting firm.
Nice.
And then started speaking. And then from the speaking, I launched a publishing company because of the books.
What made you start speaking?
It was more or less I was finding myself doing something that I love to do. And what I mean by that is every day I'm getting up and I'm motivating people to live a great life, to live their dreams, to be inspired, to go after purpose, to go after their passion. And I'm saying to myself, I'm doing this for free. Right? I'm motivating people to live their lives for free. And that's the intriguing thing about life. When you're able to do something you're good at for free, that's when you know it's purpose.
Right.
Now I just get paid for it.
Nice. That's a beautiful thing. I mean, like I said, anybody who's ever seen you speak definitely knows your words are very impactful, and I've said that to you from the beginning. When we met, I forgot where you were speaking at. I've seen you speak a couple of times, but every single time I always come out feeling a lot more motivated. And even with your books, I know you were selling the books, and everybody was sort of standing around. Some people didn't want to buy, and me having the respect that I have for you, I had to pick up 2 copies myself just to just to show you, just like I said, the level of respect that I have for you. And just anytime that I hear you speak, just the words, what it actually means. So that's why I wanted to just sit down and sort of speak to you about some of the different things that you have going on. And I guess maybe your words of advice for, some of the people that are paying attention to this.
Yeah, I mean,
that haven't seen you speak.
Yeah, well, I mean, I appreciate that, and I always appreciate the support. And I remember when I first released my first book, Wake Up and Win. It took me 2 years to write that manuscript. And in that 2 years, the person who motivated me to write Wake Up and Win was my mentor, Les Brown.
Right.
Les Brown, I didn't know Les Brown prior to me writing the book. Intriguing story about that is I had went to a Get Motivated seminar. It was one of my first seminars that I've ever seen Les Brown speak live.
Right.
And I drove to Philadelphia. It's like 5,000 people in the audience. I thought I paid for the ticket to get a picture with him. Right. And so I'm sitting in the audience. I'm ready to go speak to him and tell him how he impacted my life, because in my journey, through my journey, personal development, I was really introduced to this because I read his book, Live Your Dreams. And so I wanted to tell him that. I wanted to tell him how he impacted my life and how my life changed because of him. So I walk up, I'm getting ready to take a picture. Lady goes, "Let me see a ticket." And come to find out, this ticket isn't the ticket that I'm supposed to have for Les Brown. To be able to take the picture. And I was furious. So I went back to my seat and I was getting ready to leave. But when I sat down that day, I said, you know what? Maybe I'm not supposed to be in his life as a picture taker. Maybe I'm supposed to be in his life as a spiritual son, something more. Wow. And I believe that was like the first time in my life where I watched manifestation occur with my own eyes and my own actions, because it was that day where I made the decision that knowing that I knows him, I don't have direct contact with him. I can't send him an email. I can't do any of that. But I want to have this position in my life. So I wrote it down. I made a decision, didn't know how long it was going to take, didn't know the timeline. And through the process of what happens when you make a decision to go after something that you really want in your life, 1 year from that day, that I was at a Get Motivated seminar. I'm at another Get Motivated seminar in Newark, New Jersey. I'm standing behind the stage. Les Brown is getting ready to walk out the stage. He turns to me, gives me his phone, and he says, "Son, I want you to record this."
Really?
So in less than 12 months from when I sat down in the audience and said I wanted to be in his life as a spiritual son, I'm now walking in the manifestation of the thing that I said that I wanted.
Right.
And from that process, that's when I started to understand how powerful manifestation is. But we won't be able to manifest things if we don't have a target.
Right. Wow. Okay. That's huge. And that's actually kind of eerie when you start to talk about it and to hear you say that. I mean, you know, anybody that's a firm believer that things happen for a reason knows that, like you said, when you visualize and you lock in on something, or you lock in on a target, or you lock in on a goal, that you can actually make it happen.
Absolutely.
So what was, for you, I guess, the turning point where you felt like, with everything that was going on, you losing your grandmother and all those different things, that you felt like you needed to make a change in your life?
Yeah, I mean, clearly it's like being able to look down the road and ask yourself, well, the errors in my present judgment, how would that affect me at 35, 40, 45,
Right.
50,
Right.
right? Because errors in judgment is failure. We look at failure as a person. You start saying, I'm a failure, I'm a failure. No, you're a failure in your judgments. That's what makes you a failure, not you as a person.
As a person.
And that's how you can separate the two, and how you can dramatically change your life is when you start to realize, I personally am not a failure. I just make bad decisions. So if I start making positive decisions, impactful decisions, then my life can be a success. A success is a few simple disciplines that we practice every single day. And that's what separates someone like you versus someone who's a up and down producer,
Right.
or just a regular, someone who's in the real estate industry making $20,000 a year, or $30,000 a year, or $40,000 a year. It's the disciplines,
right,
that people are willing to do the things today that others won't do, so that they could have the things in the future that others won't have. It's the discipline. And that's
powerful.
the thing that I had to make my mind up at age 25.
Wow. So what is a typical day for Jermain Miller? What does that look like?
Well, I'm typically up at 5 a.m. I usually run anywhere between 7 and 10 miles in the morning. I have 3 small boys, 11, 10, and 7, so I make sure that they're good.
Right.
And then I'm off to the gym for like my second session. And nowadays, between really speaking, and we just launched the publishing company in January, and I've already ghostwritten about 10 books so far this year.
10?
So,
Wow.
Between that and helping new authors, with their projects and their books and stuff like that, the typical day can range from real estate to publishing to speaking to dad to cooking to cleaning. And the great thing about all of this, I went skating recently with my sons. It was on a Sunday, and all the parents were at the skating rink. Got the dads, you got the moms and everybody. But what I noticed that day was very impactful for me. A lot of the dads was angry. They were yelling at their kids, screaming at their kids. And here I am roller skating with 3 boys in the roller skating rink, going around in circles, having a great time. And it dawned on me that day, I'm in a position where I can build a business and still spend time with my children. And most people don't have that.
Right.
They're either building a business, or they got to make the sacrifice to spend time with their children.
Right.
And something is suffering. But I've been blessed and privileged enough to create businesses where I'm able to spend time with my children and raise them into successful young men.
That's a beautiful thing. We all go into different fields of business for different reasons. Me getting into the real estate game was, for the same reasons, so that I could spend time with the kids.
Right.
I didn't want anybody watching my kids, and my daughter, when she was 1, was going to a babysitter, and she actually got burned on her leg. So when that happened to me, I said to myself that I had to switch around my whole schedule.
Right.
And that's what we did. I started working overnights at the cable company, and my wife would work, she was working during the day 9 to 5, because I didn't want anybody watching the kids. So, it goes back to the things that you're saying, that there has to be some sort of purpose in what we're doing, and we have to try to figure out a way to figure it out basically and make it happen.
Right.
Because people ask us all the time, like you said, what success looks like, and to a lot of people, it looks like a lot of different things. It may be you accumulating a certain amount of money. It may be, actually having your family. It may be, it may be whatever, because everybody has a different goal that they're looking to set. So I guess a question I would ask you is, anybody that I guess you come across that's either in a business or even going through a rough patch in their life, and they're looking to, I guess, give up on everything, what would you say to someone like that
When we
with everything that you've gone through?
Yeah, so when we talk about going through rough patches or going through certain things, what we have to understand is the things that we go through in life is never about us. The things we go through in life is about us overcoming it so we can empower someone else in the same position. So we're always looking at adversity. We're always looking at challenges, almost like a woe is me kind of situation. Right. Why am I the only one going through this? Why am I? And I thought like that when I was younger. Why am I going through this? Or why do I have to deal with this loss? Or why do I have to deal with this setback? Till I read something that was so powerful. James Allen, in his book, As a Man Thinketh, he says circumstances only reveal who we are to ourselves. And what that basically means is all of these circumstances that we're dealing with or that we will deal with in life is just basically a measuring stick. You said you wanted to be this. Right. And it's interesting because when we sit down and we think about our goals and when we think about our dreams or when we think about certain things we want to accomplish in life, life never gives you the vision for the journey. It only gives you the vision for the dream. And what I mean by that is we're going to deal with some heartbreaks. We're going to deal with some setbacks. We're going to deal with some business failures. We're going to deal with sickness. We're going to deal with pain. But that's not a part of the journey. It's a part of the dream. It's the process.
Part of the dream.
And
not a part
I
of the
have
journey.
to go through these circumstances in life because I said I wanted to be this. Right. And when we set goals, what we don't realize is that a goal causes you to become a different type of person in order for you to achieve it. My goal of being $1 million a month earner is not going to come down and smack me sitting on a couch. Right. I got to rise to a higher level. What does a $1 million a month earner look like? What does their day look like? Right. What do they do on a daily basis? Who are they interacting with?
To be able to get to that point.
To be able to get to that point. So in order for me to write these goals down, I have to realize that I have to become a different type of person. So the adversity that we're going through, it's not about us. I got all this woe is me stuff going on, but it's about life challenging you to be the person with purpose, to be the person with passion, to be the person who's going to change the history or the trajectory of your genealogy. That's what this is all about. So when you start looking at the mirror, there's an African proverb that says, if there's no enemy within, the enemy without can't do us no harm. So when I start looking in the mirror and I start realizing that I'm the only person that separates me from where I am and my greatness, this adversity, these circumstances, these challenges, all these things that's going on has absolutely nothing to do with my purpose. I get up every morning, I wake up, I win.
Wow.
I got a question.
That's powerful. Folks, I don't even know where to go from this.
In terms of like motivational speaking, I got like two questions like wrapped in one. How'd you like get into that? And like when you're like speaking and like in terms of you like writing books, what audiences are like targeted to? Is it targeted to people that's older or all ages or younger? And like how do you reach out to the youth in terms of like obviously some of the hardships you had, like growing up with death and like going coming out of prison, things of that nature? Because like me as being young, when somebody's like trying to preach or trying to like give you like game or like word, so it's like some of the people my age, they won't like really respect it or really like take it serious or take it into account some of the things that's gonna happen on in the future, or like taking some of the knowledge and the wisdom on. So how do you like reach out to that audience, and how do you like really get their attention?
Yeah, that's interesting, and I'm glad you asked that question. I was having a conversation with my mentor Les Brown, and I asked him. I was talking about speakers. We were like having a conversation about speakers, and I'm like, this speaker's doing this, and this a couple years ago, but this speaker's doing this speaker's cursing, this speaker's doing this. This is not like the old time speakers that
Right.
I watch
Right.
like all day long. And it was something that he said that turned my life around. He said, Jermain, don't look to the right, don't look to the left. Focus on your purpose, focus on your goal, focus on your dream. And the people that need to hear you will hear your voice and they will follow you. And that was one of the most life altering things I ever heard, because that's where we get caught up. We get caught up in thinking, I got to shove this information on you, or I need this particular following. But the reality of it is, regardless of if you're here to reach 8,000 people, 8 people, 8 million people, you have to find what your voice is. And when you find what your voice is, everybody who needs to hear you will follow you. So your story of whatever you're growing up in, or your mindset, or the things that you have to deal with at this particular age, there's a group of people that want to hear that. Right. So we have to get to the place where we're just focusing on what our message is, what inspires me from the inside, what's my purpose on the inside. And once I live by that, that's authentic. And that's when I start to become a magnet to the people that need to hear the things that I'm talking about. Because I think we center our day more around, like, if I just put a message together, then people will follow me. That might not be authentic, right? But you have to speak from where you are. I'm able to speak from all of these different experiences. And that's why I said earlier that when you go through things in life, it's not about you. It's about all of the information that you can get in those experiences, so that you can say to someone, hey, man, listen, I've been there before. I know exactly how you feel. It's a much better story than the person who says, oh, man, yeah, if you just buy my program and sign up for this course and this webinar, then you could, no. I want to know the person who was in the mud. I want to know the person who had to get up and didn't have listings. And didn't have buyers, and started from scratch, and still get up every single morning and hit the streets hard, and still getting lit, and still working with buyers and sellers after all these years, and not just taking it to social media and saying, hey, listen, I got 1 house, I got 2 houses, but somebody who's really in the streets still. I want to know, like, tell me that. Not the person who's saying, give me my course, buy my program, I help you be a #1 producing real estate professional. So I think you just stay in your lane, and whatever it is that you're comfortable talking about, people will find you for that. That's your voice, that's your message, and that's how people will find you.
Yeah, I like that you mentioned on that, how you said people will find you and you'll be the magnet to them. 'Cause it's almost like music. It's like you listen to the things that's most relatable to you,
Right.
and that's how everybody picks up their following. You go to somebody that you can relate to the most.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
I respect that.
How did you know that, based on everything that you were doing, that you were on the right path?
Well, I think you never really know. You just kind of go.
Right.
And I think that life hands us these circumstances, and it's our ability to navigate through those circumstances and see the opportunity that's in it. Napoleon Hill said something powerful. He said, every adversity carries with it the seed of an equivalent or greater benefit. So in all of these adversities, like the adversity I had with my first book and the publisher running off with the money and not having the information that I needed to have to get my book published, is what encouraged me to start a publishing company for my second book, and not ever having someone go through those experiences. That was my concept. My concept was like, I don't want nobody to go through what I went through.
You went through.
But you see, because of my experience, I now have a passion to do what I'm doing. Right. And so you say, well, how do you ghostwrite books? How do you publish books and best-selling authors? How do you write books for yourself? How do you still be a full-time dad? How do you still real estate? How do you still motivate? How do you still motivate yourself? Because it's purpose. And when you are moving in purpose, none of this stuff intertwines. Everything is in its right line, in its right space.
That's powerful. I mean, because what you said what's so funny is you being a motivational speaker or someone that people look to for that positivity, even with whatever you're going through, whatever I'm going through, whenever people look to us and they're looking for that message, it's like whatever we have going on, we have to put to the side.
Yes.
Because they're not coming to you for that
your
negativity.
drama, right.
They want to know, they want to get that positive word from you.
Right, right. And this is important. Why? I literally just had this conversation before I got here. Why it's important for us to set up a success routine. And when I say success routine, I'm saying, what does your day look like every single day that at the end of the day, it's a success? And I'm talking about the reason why that came up. I remember watching LeBron James play basketball. And at the end of the game, the commentator asked him some questions. And one of the things he said was, she said, oh, you scored 40 and this and that. And he's looking tired and exhausted. And he goes, because I trust my routine, I didn't have to practice today. And I knew I was still going to have a good game regardless of everything else that happened that day.
Or the stats.
Regardless of what was going on, I trusted my routine.
Right.
And so when we have a success routine of getting up early, most of us want more hours in the day, but we're unwilling to get up early. We want more hours in the week, but we don't want to sacrifice getting up at 5 o'clock or 4 o'clock or 6 o'clock or whatever. When we get into the habit of motivation, injecting ourselves with all of the positive stuff, because that word, you reap what you sow, is not just from a negative perspective.
Right.
It's also from a positive perspective. I reap what I sow. So if I'm sowing love, I'm sowing peace, I'm sowing joy, I'm sowing abundance, I'm sowing prosperity, I can't do nothing else but expect to receive that in my life.
Right.
But I'm not going to get anything I don't sow first. So if I have my success routine where I'm up, I'm running, I'm gym, I'm motivation, I'm meditation, I'm juicing, I'm shaking, and my meals are good for the day,
Right.
I'm good to go.
Because you set
I set the precedence.
Right.
I've gotten to a place where my phone, I don't care what's going on, it's on Do Not Disturb at 10 o'clock, and I'm in bed.
Oh.
The only people that can get to me is my close people. That's it. But other than that, there's nothing that important that's going to disturb me from my sleep. Not anymore. Because I live my life by design. I don't live my life by default.
Wow.
I got another question too. I just thought about it again. When you were like writing your first book or like getting to write your first book, how did that come about? Like, were you journaling every day? Were you like, how did that?
Well, my first book is interesting that you said that. My first book was inspired by Les Brown because after I made the decision to meet him, I finally met him in person. And the first thing he said to me when he saw me was, "Where's your book?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" That's one of the questions that I ask anybody now. It's ironic. I'll look at somebody, right, "Where's your book?" But he asked me that question. It was so powerful because the second thing he said after that is, "If you don't have a book, I'll write the forward." So that was like so motivating to me to know that if I complete this book, he would be the person who wrote the forward. It happened, but it took me 2 years to write the book. And the reason why it took me 2 years to write the book, I didn't have coaching. I wasn't a writer. I had no idea what was going on. I was just trying to write whatever it was that was coming to my mind. And it took me 2 years to write this book, but I did it. But the second book, going through that process, it only took me 6 days. The third book only took me 72 hours. The fourth book only took me 2 weeks. You want to know why? I started realizing that anything in life, if we say it's going to take this long, it's going to actually take this long. So when I do stuff or when I write, there's a specific outline, there's a specific mindset that I'm in, and I'm saying to myself, this is when this expiration period is going to occur on this book.
Well, I think that goes back to you saying about manifestation.
Yes.
So I think once you manifest it, you pretty much are setting, like you said, setting the precedence for it.
Yes.
I think for some of us, you can, if you're looking to do something, depending on, I guess, how you motivate yourself or how you do the things that you do, if you're saying to somebody that I'm going to be a millionaire one day, it's almost like, I guess, you're putting it out in the air. And now you have to figure out a way to get it done.
Right, but we also have to be careful about that because I am a millionaire versus I will be a millionaire are two different things.
Yeah, absolutely right.
I
Thank
am
you
a
for
millionaire.
thank you for
I'm
that.
walking in it already. I will be is a possibility I'll never be there.
Wow.
And that's the challenge. People say that all the time. They don't even realize it's
Yeah.
wrong.
I just did it too.
I will
And
be
thank
a
you for that.
millionaire is a weak statement. Because if we talk about from a religious aspect, was my guy over here was talking about, when they started talking about God saying who he really is, he's saying, I am. I am sent you. So anything you associate I am with, that's your God power.
Right.
I am wealth. I am happy. I am successful. I am peace. I am prosperity. That's my God power. I will be is something God never said.
Thank you for that.
So I am and I walk in it.
You got any other questions? I don't think I have anything left. All I want to do is just take the time to thank you for your time.
Absolutely.
I got one last question, actually. Well, not a question. I wanted to like add on to what you were saying about how, like when you say you're gonna do something at a certain time period, you actually get it done. Because I feel like people will overcomplicate things, or they'll push it to the side, or when I have time to do it, or when I get to it, and then it just drags along, and you don't really like hit on that target and hit on that goal, and that point that you really wanted to make. So like I said, I just respect like a lot of the game you give, and like the words of empowerment and stuff like that. So yeah, I appreciate it.
I appreciate you, man.
Thank you.
Appreciate
You know, I just wanted to say one thing. I wanted to take from something that you said before. You know, when you're going through something, you always think that maybe it's just you that's going through it. And it's funny that you say that, because I was in Lowe's last night, me and my wife, and we're renovating a house now, and we're 6 months into a 3-month project. But that's a whole nother story. And as we're talking, the two of us are talking, there's a lady that's in the aisle too, and she's having a problem with her contractor. We're having a problem with our contractor. We start to talk. She overhears my conversation with my electrician. We start to talk. We're in the aisle now. We're talking for 45 minutes. Complete stranger, never met her before. We ended up exchanging information after. But it's so funny, like you said, how certain people get placed in certain areas.
Right.
As you're going through something, and you always feel like you're the only one that's going through it.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just, it was funny to hear that. And, you know, some of the things, it's weird. You start to go through certain things, and you start to see certain signs, and you start to, I don't know, maybe paying attention to things a little bit differently when you are trying to, you know, make some changes in your life. You know, so just anybody who's going through anything, if you take anything from, you know, everything that we're talking about, is, you know, definitely try to pay attention to some of the things that Jermain is saying. You know, anybody that knows me knows that I don't try to associate with anybody that's not doing something positive, and somebody that's not in that positive frame of mind, which, you know, those are the only people that we want to try to highlight.
Absolutely.
And, you know, try to celebrate them. And that's why I'm happy, like I said, that we were able to connect, and we were able to sit down and just, you know, talk a little bit, and just, you know, you give some of the people some game.
Absolutely.
And, you know, we appreciate you for that. And how do people get in contact with you?
Well, simple, just like everyone else. I'm Jermain Miller on all social media platforms other than JM Publishing LLC, which is the company that's exploding right now by leaps and bounds.
Unbelievable.
Email Jermain at jermainmiller.com for any like booking, speaking, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay. You have something to say? I think we got
And Amazon too. If you want to get any of my books on Amazon, you can go to Amazon, check out Wake Up and Win.
That's a great book. I definitely, I have 2 copies.
Yeah, Wake Up and Win. Les Brown wrote the foreword to that. Wake Up and Live. Diana Nightingale, who is the widow of Earl Nightingale, The Stranger's Secret. She's a very good friend of mine. She wrote the foreword to that book.
Wow.
And Don Green, who's the CEO of the Napoleon Hill Foundation, wrote the foreword to my 4th book, The Magic Power of Your Inner Conversation. So very well connected to those greats.
To those people.
To those greats.
Let me ask one last question before we get off. Before you started writing books, you said that you were doing real estate. And I know that we had talked off the AF. You and I have talked a bunch of times. You were very successful when you were doing real estate, and you were pretty much very well fulfilled. But what made you feel like there was something else that you needed to do, or there was another calling for you, or you had another purpose?
I knew real estate was a vehicle to get me from where I was to where I wanted to be.
Got it.
And it didn't matter how much money I earned in there. I just knew I had.
Well, that wasn't everything. Like you said, it wasn't about that.
Yeah, it wasn't about the money. It wasn't about. It was literally just moving me from at that place of 25 being homeless to now experiencing whatever it was that I wanted to experience in my life
Right.
at whatever age. But I knew, and we should all look for or try to find what our real purpose is in life. What is that passion? What really gets us up every single day? And it doesn't necessarily have to be the thing that we're doing right at that particular point.
Right.
And I feel like I said, real estate opened up an avenue for me to learn about becoming my own boss.
Right.
And then being my own boss opened up an avenue about me being like owning a company. And then me understanding the dynamics of a company, and enabled me to open up another company and then another company.
Right.
So I got all of the principles and tools of how to become a business owner.
Right.
Right. And then how do all of these businesses function and operate? And because to me, it's all the same thing. I mean, I've met successful negative real estate agents and successful positive real estate agents. Right. But in that, the bottom line is we have to be motivated to do something.
That's true.
Right. And so because of that, I was able to use the same real estate as my foundation when I first started speaking.
Right.
I would go to real estate offices, go to car dealerships, go to life insurance offices, and I would speak to them for free. And then by me speaking, it opened up doors for me to coach companies. And then I started coaching companies. And then I went to say, well, most of the stuff that I'm talking about, I can put it in a book. Right. And then I put it in a book. And then because I didn't want people experiencing the things that I experienced with writing books, I started a publishing company. Right. So you just got to like kind of know how all this goes and plays. And if we want to be wealthy, we can't earn the wealth on one stream of income.
Sure. So what's next for Jermain Miller?
What's next for Jermain Miller is, again, we literally successfully released 7 back-to-back #1 best-selling Amazon books.
Wow, unbelievable.
Back-to-back from life insurance to Crystal Young, a real estate attorney,
Right.
was here, to Sabine Franco's book, Matthew Garland's
Right.
book we released recently. We got a few in the pipeline. So I want to create an Uber for book publishing. There was a lot of things that I saw from book publishing and like people's hearts that's not really in it. They just trying to get books out, playing on people financially and things like that.
Right.
I want it to be a one-stop shop where someone says, I don't know what I want to talk about. I don't know what I want to write about, but I know I want to become an author. And I can literally sit down, have a conversation with that person from nothing to becoming a bestseller within 90 days.
Wow.
Right. And I'm talking about from nothing. We've had that already. And we've had people come in with ideas that we turned around. We've had people that came in with their manuscripts and we made them bestsellers. So we just want to be an Uber of book publishing. So every day I'm constantly trying to figure out how we can become better, how we can service, because what I did realize is that there is a niche market for book publishing, and that niche market is entrepreneurs.
Right.
Entrepreneurs they're experts in their field already, but they don't know how to get paid on writing a book and the value of it. Right.
And
so
putting the pen to paper.
Putting the pen to paper. Some people don't have the time. So
Right.
what do you do? Where do you go? Who do you talk to?
Right.
I want to write a book, but I don't even know. So I put it off to the side. So I want to be the face and the voice of all the entrepreneurs who want to put their story in a book and then show them how they can monetize off of becoming a best-selling author.
That's a beautiful thing. So we'll wrap up there. Anybody looking to sell a home, buy a home, you can definitely reach out to myself and my son. I don't want to drag this out too long, but we want to thank Jermain Miller again.
Appreciate you, brother.
Nothing but love and respect.
Appreciate
You already know that. And, we appreciate your time.
Appreciate you.
Everybody stay safe. Have a great day.